If you're moving to Kansas City or just looking for one of the best Kansas City suburbs to buy a home in, this video we're breaking down the top 21 Kansas City suburbs ranked by home prices from most affordable to most expensive. And at the end of the video, we'll cover the most expensive ones. And the most expensive, it's probably not going to be a surprise to many people, especially if you've looked at some home prices in the area. But the number two most expensive one very well could be. And it's not in Kansas, it's not in the Johnson County area. You'll have to stick around to the end to see where it is. Now, before we get started with part number one, this list is all based on median sale prices over the last 12 months. So we'll talk about new construction homes, but the ranking is based off of pre-existing homes. And for some of these areas, there's quite a bit of a discrepancy between the two. And the last thing that you should know is this is all for single family homes. So if you're looking for a condo, townhome, or a villa, that's not included in this ranking because it's just too many variables to account for. So with all that said, starting with the most affordable, number one is Blue Springs. Here's where Blue Springs is on the map. It's in Jackson County on the Missouri side, just north of Lee Summit. This is an area that's been growing pretty quickly over the past 5 to 10 years, and one that I expect to absolutely take off over the next 10. The median sale price over the last 12 months is around $300,000, making it the most affordable one on this entire list. And again, that's for pre-existing homes. If you were looking at new construction homes, also some pretty affordable prices. You've got about $380,000 for the median price of a new construction home there as well. And one of the big reasons as to why it's so popular is probably because of the affordability, but also you've got one of the best school districts on the Missouri side in the entire Kansas City metro area. Here's an example of what around $300,000 can buy you in Blue Springs. You can see it's a split level home, 3 beds, 2.5 baths, 1926 square feet. The lot is pretty reasonably sized, just over a 1/4 acre. Moving on to the second most affordable on this list is Liberty, Missouri. This is another one that I would say is even more popular than Blue Springs. It's got a little bit more to do. The schools are also very, very highly rated. The median sale price over the last 12 months for pre-existing homes is around $315,000. Now, this is also a popular destination for building a home or new construction homes, and you'll find quite a bit here, but maybe not as many as you'd see in the city of Blue Springs, which happens to be just a little bit bigger. So for new construction in the city of Liberty over the last 12 months is around $512,000, which is pretty standard, especially for new construction on the Missouri side, whether we're talking the Northland, whether we're talking Lee Summit. Obviously a little bit more expensive than Blue Springs, but that's likely because the value of the location. Here's an example of a pre-existing home priced around $350,000, so just a little bit more than the median sale price. The beautiful 1.5 story home, 2-car garage. You've got 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and 1850 square feet. Number 3 most affordable on this list is Roland Park, Kansas. Here's where it's located. It's in the northeast corner of Johnson County, next to some others like Westwood, Fairway, Prairie Village that we'll cover later on this list. But one notable thing about it is the affordable prices. Over the last 12 months, the median sale price is around $325,000. And you really won't find too many homes that are pre-existing or that haven't been fully renovated at least over $400,000, making it, again, one of the most affordable in the entire Kansas City metro area. It is undergoing a kind of a wave of redevelopment, so you've got a few new construction homes going up, but a lot of the ones going in are custom builds that are very high end, that are over 7 figures, and there have been quite a few on both sides of Roland Park, given that it's split down the middle by Rowe Avenue. Now, before I show you an example of one of these homes, I would also go as far to add Mission, Kansas to the list. These are side-by-side cities. They share Johnson Drive. They've also got a lot of shops, restaurants, etc. along Johnson Drive, making them a top choice for people that are looking for homes below about $400,000. Here's an example of what around $350,000 can buy you in Roland Park. Beautiful Cape Cod. You've got 3 beds, 1.5 bathrooms, 1590 square feet. And this is pretty common for what you'll see in Mission and Roland Park. If it's not a ranch, it's going to be a Cape Cod, and they're not humongous, but they're the perfect size if you're buying your first, second home, or you just don't need a large home. Now, before we move on to the 4th one on this list, if this is your first time seeing these videos, then welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Massa. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Kansas and Missouri. We make these videos to hopefully make your journey of buying a home in the Kansas Kansas City suburbs or potentially relocating to the Kansas City area that much easier. And if you'd like to have a conversation and make all of this information specific to you, your family's needs, and find the perfect place to buy a home in the Kansas City suburbs, all of my contact information is down below. I get calls, texts, emails from people all over the country relocating here. I absolutely love to support you any way we can. I'm never too busy to take your call, so feel free to reach out. I can make all of this info more specific to you. Now, that being said, we're going to move on to the fourth most expensive in this video, which is Kearney, Missouri. Here's what it looks like on the map. It's just a little bit farther north than Liberty, Missouri, and really the Northland as a whole has just been exploding over the last several years. You've got affordable prices, and the median sale price in Kearney over the last 12 months is around $361,000. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like here in just a second. But this is also an area where you do have quite a bit of new construction, right? You've got a little bit more land to work with. It's not as fully developed as a place like Roland Park on the Kansas side. And because it's still a desirable place to live, the median sale price for new construction in Kearney, Missouri is around $560,000. So just a step up more expensive than Liberty, Missouri. Now, that being said, here's an example of an affordable new construction home priced around $390,000. It's a single level ranch. It backs to private trees behind it. You've got 3 beds, 2 baths, around 1,390 square feet, and it's on about a fifth of an acre. And that leads us to number 5 on the most affordable suburbs in Kansas City list, which is Smithville, Missouri. Here's where Smithville is on the map. You've got Smithville Lake there as well. It is in the Northland. I think you can probably see the trend here is you've got just quite a few different areas that are very popular on the Missouri side, especially north of the river, that do also have some affordable home prices. And in Smithville, Missouri, the median sale price over the last 12 months for pre-existing homes is somewhere around $377,000. This would be another one on the list where you do have quite a bit of development still happening, so you've got plenty of new construction homes to choose from, and the median price for those is around $530,000. In fact, there are quite a few communities around that on the map. You can see that Smithville Lake area that are absolutely beautiful. Now, one of the major benefits of moving to Smithville is you are in North Kansas City. You've got some good schools according to greatschools.org, niche.com, and you've got more of like a small town feel. It's not as congested as like a Kansas City, Missouri proper. And here's an example of what around $335,000 can buy you in Smithville, Missouri. You've got another split level. This one is 3 beds, 2.5 baths, just over 1,900 square feet, and it sits on about a half acre. This is a fairly new one. It was built in 2017, and that's what you'll see. You'll see a good mix of some older homes as well as a lot of new construction and homes that were built in the last decade or so. And that leads us to number 6. We've made a lot of videos about this one. It's a popular choice for a lot of people moving, relocating to the Kansas City area. Number 6 is Lee Summit. So we already talked about Blue Springs. Lee Summit is just south of Blue Springs. It's got several lakes around it. Some of those lakes are independent cities that you'll see pop up on this list here as we go down, especially towards the more expensive areas that you could live. But Lee Summit, very affordable. A lot of people are moving there. It's got one of the best school districts on the Missouri side. It's got some great restaurants, great shops, etc. to go to. And it's seen a pretty significant wave of development that I anticipate to only continue and increase over the next 10, 15 years, and quite frankly, beyond. So the median sale price in Lee Summit pre-existing homes over the last 12 months is around $380,000. Of course, this is one of the places where if you wanted to build a home, if you wanted to buy a new construction home, you're gonna have a lot of choices in Lee Summit. The only other area in Kansas City where you'd have more choices for new construction is Kansas City, Missouri, north of the river. But Lee Summit, you've got so many different options, so many different new home communities to choose from. The median sale price for new construction in Lee Summit is around $555,000. Now, I've made a video breaking down some of the best areas where you could buy or build a new home in Kansas City, and I'll leave the link to that down below in the description. But for now, here's an example of what around $375,000 can buy you in Lee Summit. Of course, you've got another split level, very popular around the Kansas City metro area, 3 beds, 2.5 baths, and that kind of sweet spot square footage of around 2,200 square feet. The major difference of this one, though, is that you've got about a third of an acre. So you can see in those pictures, it looks great. You've got a lot of green space in the backyard. And similar to like a Smithville, is like you're gonna get a little bit more of a small town feel in Lee Summit. Now, as we move on to number 7, we're crossing state line. We're going back to the Kansas side. So this is only the second one we've covered covered in Kansas. A little bit more expensive prices. Number 7 is Shawnee, Kansas. It's located in Johnson County, and here's what that looks like on the map. It's just north of Lenexa, which is another popular one that we'll get to here in just a second, and west of Roland Park. Now you've got quite a few different areas of Shawnee, some that feel a little bit more small town where you'll see some farmland as you're driving through the city, and some that they're fully developed, and you've got homes that were built in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then the farther west you go, that's typically where you'll see some of the newer construction and the new home communities. Now, if we're talking pre-existing homes, the median price for those over the last 12 months has been around $393,000. I'll show you an example of what that could get you here in just a second. But since you do have new construction in several different areas in Shawnee, the median sale price is around $655,000, making it one of the least expensive places where you could build a home in the Johnson County area. Now, here's an example of what around $410,000 could buy you in Shawnee. You've got a gorgeous 2-story home. It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 3,271 square feet. You can see some of the updates throughout the home, but this was built in the 2000s, and it sits on almost of a 1/4 acre of land. And number 8, this is one that we've made plenty of videos about. It's really growing quickly. It's got a lot of new construction homes to choose from. Number 8 is Olathe, Kansas. It's been absolutely exploding in popularity. A lot of people are moving there. There are also tons of homes that are constantly going on the market, so you've got no shortage of options there. The median sale price for resale homes or pre-existing homes in Olathe over the last 12 months is around $390,000. Now, kind of like we talked about how Leaf Summit, they've got a lot of new construction homes to choose from. It's very similar to what you'll find in Olathe. In fact, you've got more new homes to choose from, new homes that you could build in that city compared to any other city in the Johnson County area. And the median price for something like that would be around $650,000. But bear with me, you can certainly build for less than that. I've had a client build for around $500,000, just a single-story ranch. So it certainly is possible. But again, one of the major benefits of Olathe is it's a big city. You got a lot of choices. You got a lot of options to choose from, whether you're going after a pre-existing home or whether you're trying to build. And here's an example of what around $390,000 could buy you in Olathe. You've got the 3-car garage, classic 2-story home, 4 beds, 2 full baths, 2 half baths, and it sits on over 1/3 of an acre at around 2,280 square feet. Now, number 9, we're moving back to the Missouri side, north of the river for these next couple. Number 9 is Lake Wocomus. Here's what it looks like on the map. One of the best locations you could be in. You've got small town living, you're on the lake in some of these properties, and you're just down the street from Zona Rosa, you're minutes from the airport, you're not too far away from downtown Kansas City either. It's the perfect kind of Goldilocks area that you could live in. Now, granted, it's not the biggest area, and there aren't a ton of homes for sale. And over the last 12 months, the pre-existing homes that sold there sold for a median price of around $400,000, which is not as expensive as some of the other lakes that we'll cover as we move down this list. Now, here's an example of the one home that is on the market. It's currently under contract, but you can see single car garage priced at $425,000. You've got 2 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 1,640 square feet, beautiful little cottage in great condition, and you've got some excellent views out back as well. Now, moving to number 10, which is northwest of Lake Wocomus, you've got Platte City, just on the other side of the airport, which makes it a very convenient place to live. Also, tons of land. They're seeing a lot of development over the last several decades. So you've got a good amount of new construction, good amount of pre-existing homes that aren't too old like some of the other cities we've talked about closer to downtown Kansas City, like a Roland Park, for example. The median sale price for pre-existing homes is somewhere around $412,000. Since you do have some new construction, and it's at one of the higher price points that we've seen so far throughout the video at just over $580,000. And just to switch it up a little bit, here's an example of a new construction home. It's priced at $450,000. I like the Twilight photos, the first one. Those always kind of catch your eye. You got 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2,333 square feet. Now we're moving south of the river for number 11, back to the Kansas side, very close to Roland Park, which was one of the most affordable, at least on the Kansas side on this list. Number 11 is Westwood and Westwood Hills. Here's what they look like on the map. I'm grouping them together because they've got a very similar feel and some similar home prices, as you'll see here in just a second. So median sale price for pre-existing homes is around $415,000 in Westwood Hills and around $425,000 in Westwood. So the nice part about living there is you've got kind of a historic feel. You got some Tudor style homes that aren't too far away from the plaza, so you're kind of centrally located in the Kansas City metro area. As a result, some of the homes are a little bit smaller and the lots can be a little bit smaller as well, which is why we're seeing kind of a wave of redevelopment and new construction, and a lot of these properties have been renovated or completely rebuilt. And for new construction, you're looking at a median sale price of somewhere around $1.162 million. Now this one hits home for me. I moved around in a couple different cities around northeast Johnson County, but the first place that I grew up was Westwood Hills. It was a beautiful neighborhood. We weren't too far away from the plaza when there was a different situation, and it was maybe a little bit cleaner and you could walk to it. It was still nice. You've got the kind of Westwood Park on the other side of State Line. So it's a beautiful area. Here's an example of what around $400,000 can buy you. You've got the brick elevation, which is just a very, very nice touch and shows you some of the character you can get in that area. 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, just over 1150 square feet. And it's on a pretty big lot for the area, being a little bit over a 1/4 acre. Moving on to number 12, this is another one in Johnson County. It's south of Roland Park. It's also south of Westwood. This one is Prairie Village. A couple years back, it was actually rated as one of the most popular places you could live in the entire country, let alone just the Kansas City area. As you can see on the map, it's also centrally located. You've got the Prairie Village shops, the corn shops, excellent place to live. The median sale price over the last 12 months is around $425,000. I'll show you an example here in just a second, but quite frankly, $400,000 does not go as far as you'd think it would in Prairie Village, especially if you've driven through the streets or you've seen some of the homes online. That's because it's undergoing a massive wave of redevelopment. You've got a lot of homes being torn down and rebuilt completely, a lot of new construction. The median sale price for some of those new homes is around $1.321 million. Now, the reason I say that $400,000 will not go as far as you would think it would compared to some of the other homes you've seen so far in the video. Here's an example for what around $400,000 could get you. A lot of this is tied up in the value of the land. So if you're looking for a larger house or a more upgraded house at this price, it might be a little bit tougher to find in Prairie Village specifically. And that's not a knock on that house. It's just saying that the value of the location is so popular and so expensive that that's where that price is for the most part coming from. You've got 3 beds, 2 baths, 1364 square feet, and it's on over a 1/4 acre of land, which makes it a pretty good size lot for the size of the house. Now, moving on to number 13, we're staying in Johnson County for this one. You can kind of see the trend going on as we get higher and higher and the more expensive home prices. We're kind of trending a little bit closer towards the Johnson County area, but there might be a shift coming up here over the next couple. So number 13 is the city of Lenexa. This is almost like a fanfare. I've not come across a single person who has anything bad to say about Lenexa. The city's been investing a whole lot of money into the city center. It's really just a great place to live. You've got a lot of green space around. You've got Lake Lenexa there as well, and you're centrally located. So you've got quick highway access, whether you're trying to go north or south, east or west across the Johnson County area, and really, for that matter, the entire Kansas City metro area. Now, it is one of the newer areas, the newer suburbs in the entire Kansas City metro, and the median sale price over the last 12 months is around $430,000. And since it is newer, you've got a lot of land that's still being developed, quite a few different new home communities and different, kind of home styles and varieties to choose from. So the median sale price for new construction is a little bit higher than Shawnee, which is just to the north. It's around $717,000. Now, it is a smaller city, so you won't see as many homes going on the market as you would in Olathe. People also seem to just really enjoy living there. So here's an example of what around $469,000 could buy you. Beautiful 2-story home. There are quite a few different homes that'll pop on the market that look very similar to this from time to time. 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 2690 square feet. And it's on just under a 1/4 acre of land. Now, I know that was kind of 3 in a row right in Johnson County near each other, but we're going to head back north of the river to the Missouri side. Number 14 is Weatherby Lake, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Here's what it looks like on the map. You've got a comparable location to Lake Wacomas. You're just south of Zona Rosa. You're just a few minutes away from the airport as well. It's one of the most convenient locations, and of course, the lake is just absolutely stunning. As a result, you can expect some more expensive prices, especially if you'd like to be lakefront. The median sale price over the last 12 months is around $450,000 for pre-existing homes. You've got some new construction happening in the area as well. You're right next to the National Golf Club, which is just absolutely gorgeous as well. And you'll kind of see a trend as we make our way down this list. This entire area north of the river is just beautiful. Now, instead of showing you an example of a pre-existing home that fits that median sale price, there weren't many to choose from, and I'd like to instead show you one that's more indicative of what you're probably looking for if you want to move to this area. So lakefront property, it's currently under contract just under $1.4 million. And because the value of this location, because you're lakefront and you've got the views that you do, this is built in 1967, it's 3 beds, 2.5 baths, just over 2,000 square feet. But again, it sits on about a half acre of lakefront property, and it really can't get any better than this. I mean, you wouldn't even imagine that this is even in Kansas City if I just showed you the pictures of it. Now, moving on, number 15. This is one very, very popular, always hits the top of the ratings, although you'll notice that there's quite a bit of variety when it comes to the pricing, and some of that is because of how large this city is. Number 15 is the city of Overland Park, Kansas. So we're back in the Johnson County area, of course, smack dab in the Johnson County area. You've got Overland Park. Plenty different homes to choose from. It's almost 3 different cities on its own. You've got North Overland Park, Central Overland Park, and South Overland Park. What you'll find in North and Central Overland Park are some older homes. Keep in mind, this is one of the newer cities in the entire Kansas City metro area. You'll find a median sale price of around $450,000. Of course, if you're looking at new construction, the price is going to be a little bit more expensive. You've got the Blue Valley School District, which is very highly rated. It's going to land you around $850,000. Now, we've got several other videos on Overland Park on this channel, so I'm going to make this part quick. Here's an example of what around $475,000 could buy you. A lot of these homes go very quickly because of where they're located. You've got 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 3148 square feet, and it's on a smaller lot that's just under 1/5 of an acre. Moving on to number 16, we've got some back and forth between like Johnson County and some of the just beautiful, gorgeous areas north of the river in Kansas City, Missouri. Number 16 is Parkville, Missouri, and here's where it's situated on the map. So you're just south of Weatherby Lake, and so it's quite a bit bigger than Weatherby Lake. It's just absolutely beautiful. They've got a very historic downtown area. Just driving through this, you're driving past like a cliffside. You've got tons of green space around, and it is absolutely stunning. And as a result of that, see a little bit higher prices kind of as we make our way through this video. So median sale price in Parkville last 12 months, $515,000. You do have some new construction. You've also got some $1 million plus properties scattered throughout. And because it's in a similar location to Weatherby Lake, you're kind of bordering the National Golf Club of Kansas City, which is, again, you've got some of the best views, some of the best greenery and landscaping throughout the entire Kansas City area. Here's an example of what around $600,000 could buy you. This home was built in around 2001. You've got 4 beds, 3 baths, 1/2 bath, 3172 square feet. You're in a really generous size lot that's almost 1/3 of an acre. Now, moving on to number 17, again, the back and forth between north of the river and the Johnson County area. We're moving back to the Johnson County area. This one is Fairway, Kansas. It's nestled right between Westwood and Prairie Village, Kansas. I said earlier, I grew up in Westwood. We moved to Fairway soon after. So I've seen how much it's changed over the last, let's say just 10, 15 years. And it has been a lot. In fact, the street that I grew up on, which was on Howe Drive, we built a home in around 2007, 2008, and now that same neighborhood, every single home on that street for the most part has been torn down, rebuilt. You've got $1 million properties going in, but despite all of that, while you will see quite a few very expensive homes depending on the area of Fairway, the median sale price over the last 12 months is around $525,000. And similar to what we discussed with Prairie Village, is what you can get for that money is not what you would expect to get based on some of the other prices you've seen throughout the video, and that's mostly because some of the age of these homes, like that could get you a 1-car garage. I'll kind of show you an example in just a second, but a lot of this is tied up in the value of the location. You're centrally located. Fairway, just for an example, you've got some larger lot sizes, just like a Leawood, Kansas, that we'll get to later on in this list. But again, just like I said, lots of redevelopment, lots of new construction. It hit Fairway before it moved on to Prairie Village. As a result, you'll see the median sale price for new construction around $1.18 million. Now, here's an example of what a pre-existing home would look like in Fairway, Kansas. This is is just at $500,000. You've got 3 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, 2138 square feet. And again, here's that bigger lot size we talked about at 1/3 of an acre. As you can see, just based on the pictures, a lot of these homes have been renovated, fully updated inside and out. And a lot of that is just due to the location, the value of the home, as well as the age of the home. A lot of them were built in the mid 1900s, and that's why you see updates throughout most of these homes in the city of Fairway. Moving on to number 18, we're going back to the Missouri side. This time it is not north of the river, but it is still on a lake. You've got Lake Lotawana, which is really just extremely fun to say. It's beautiful. You've got multi-million-dollar properties being sold left and right there. Despite it being in the Lee Summit School District, so close to Lee Summit, it's just on the east side of Lee Summit. So you've still got a lot of the value of the location there, except you're on the lake, which is a pretty big bonus. The median sale price over the last 12 months is around $560,000, and new construction is actually cheaper depending on what you're looking for. So new construction median sale price is around $360,000, and the reason you'd see that discrepancy is because you've got multi-million-dollar properties that are selling in Lake Lotawana that are not new construction, but you do have some new construction homes being built on the outskirts of Lake Lotawana. So not lakefront, nothing like that. They're not huge, but smaller homes around 2,000, 2,500 square feet. And again, they're in that $300,000 to $400,000 price point. Now, like we touched on, and like you could expect, since you've got a lot of lakefront properties selling, you've got a lot of them in the multi-millions of dollars. Here is one example that I could find. $500,000. You've got the lake in the back with beautiful, beautiful views. It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a little under 800 square feet, and the lot size is about 1/5 of an acre. So you can do it for $500,000. You can be lakefront. It's just going to be difficult to get a bigger sized house. And boy, do I have a good one to show you that is lakefront here in just a second. But kind of like with the trend that we've been on, we're going to hop back over to the Kansas side. Number 19 is the city of Leawood, Kansas. This is a very popular one. And in fact, the reason why Overland Park is consistently rated as one of the top in the Kansas City metro area is because it's just really big. In fact, if you look at a lot of these different ratings, especially that don't take the size of the area into consideration, Leawood often is one that will potentially outrank Overland Park. And it certainly does when it comes to home prices, at least more expensive home prices. As you can see on the map, Leawood is just to the east of Overland Park. You've kind of got 2 different areas of Leawood. You've got Old Leawood, and then you've got kind of like the South Leawood area, which is all kind of in the Blue Valley School District. You've got some new development going on there, some new construction homes. And then in Old Leawood, kind of the northern part of Leawood, you've got some kind of renovations happening. You've got a lot of homes being torn down, rebuilt, and that's similar to what that's kind of like the middle ground between what we saw in like Fairway, Prairie Village, and of course what we're seeing in Overland Park today. Now, that being said, the median sale price for a pre-existing home in the city of Leawood is around $713,000. I'll show you a rough example of what that could get you here in just a second. If we're talking about new construction, Leawood's another one where the value of the location, it's because of where it's located, because it's Leawood, it commands a higher price. You've got some larger lot sizes. In fact, if you drive through some of the streets in Old Leawood, you'll notice the just beautiful mature trees. You'll notice the huge lot sizes that can allow for a side entry garage, which you won't see throughout the Johnson County area, especially in some of the newer areas where the lot sizes aren't quite as big. And as a result, you've got the median sale price for new construction at $1.456 million. Now, we've covered one new home community in the city of Leawood called Aventino. We've got another one coming up that we'll post on this channel soon called Regents Park. I will leave the links to those down in the description so you can take a look if you are interested in South Leawood or new construction. But if you're looking for a pre-existing home, here's an example of what around $700,000 could buy you. You've got kind of that front circle drive, which is always such a big value add. It's so convenient. You've got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3,490 square feet, and it's sitting on just over 1/3 of an acre. And you can kind of see throughout those pictures of the exterior, the mature landscaping. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people are drawn to the city of Leawood. And we've only got 2 suburbs left on this list. There's one on the Missouri side, which is what we're going back to. I know there's been a lot of flip-flopping from Kansas to Missouri, and then we'll go to the most expensive one, which you probably know if you've done any research online. So number 20 is Lake Winnebago, also around Lee Summit. So at this point, you've seen a lot of different names on this list around that Lee Summit area. This one isn't as far out to the east. It's actually southwest of Lee Summit, so it's a little bit closer to the Kansas City area, and it certainly commands some higher prices. I'm going to show you an absolute trophy of a property, one of the most expensive in Kansas City, period, here in just a second. But for resale or pre-existing homes alone, you're looking at a median sale price around $882,000. You will find some new construction. In fact, I know that there are quite a few different lots to choose from. There's new development out there today. What that would run you is a median sale price around $1.05 million for new construction. Now, before I show you, again, one of the most expensive properties in all of the Kansas City area, here's what around $795,000 could buy you in Lake Winnebago. This was built in 1994. You've got 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 4,700 square feet, so really significant size. And then you are on a 12,500 square foot lot, so around a 1/4 acre. Now, important distinction is that is not a lakefront property, but this one surely is, priced at $12.6 million. Just absolutely beautiful, beautiful property, a staggering 5 bedrooms, 6 full baths, 3 half baths, almost 17,000 square feet on just a little over 1/3 of an acre. But it's homes like this, and maybe not this expensive, maybe in the lower millions of dollars, maybe like $2 or $3 million, but it's a consistent sale of multi-million-dollar properties that can really drive up that median sales price. And for number 21, the most expensive, highly rated Kansas City suburb, it is on the Kansas side in Johnson County. Probably to many, no surprise, is Mission Hills, Kansas. Here's what that looks like on the map. You're between Westwood, Fairway, Prairie Village. You've got Leawood to the south as well. I think what you're seeing at this point is this is really the hotspot area of Johnson County. It's centrally located. You get to the Missouri side, downtown. You get to the airport quickly. This is also part of the Country Club District. You've got some bigger lot sizes, as you'll see here in just a second. The median sale price over the last 12 months was at around $1.4 million, which I would say is pretty low compared to some of the very high-end properties being sold. Of course, if I showed you the average sale price, it would be quite a bit more expensive than that $1.4 million number. Now, for all of these other areas, we've showed the new construction sale prices, except the major difference is that in the city of Mission Hills, there aren't a ton of spec homes being built. It's not like somebody's going to buy a piece of land, build a home, and then list it on the market. These are very high-end, designed, from start to finish, new construction, like fully custom homes. So the price for something like that is going to be quite a bit more expensive than 1.4. But here's an example of what around 1.75 million can buy you in Mission Hills. So you've got the 2-car garage. This was built in 1938. You've got 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, 4,300 square feet on just under a half acre of land in the highly coveted Mission Hills, Kansas. Now, if you watched until the very end of this video, I know it was a long one. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you see future videos about the Kansas City real estate market in the Kansas City suburbs. And of course, if you're moving here, or maybe you're local to Kansas City, or just looking for the best place to buy a home in, we'd absolutely love to support you. All my contact information's on the screen. Feel free to give me a phone call, text message, email. I get calls, text messages like that for people all across the country and people local here. It's me who answers all of them. Would absolutely love to support you and help you find the perfect place to buy a home in. So with all that said, make sure to click right here. This is a playlist of all of our videos on the Kansas City suburbs, or you can click right here to watch the video that YouTube thinks you'd enjoy the most. So click either here or here, and I'll see you on the other side.